The letter that changed the earth night was quiet, but his mind was not. Keanu Reeves sat by a window with the city far below, lights blinking like slow heartbeats. He had finished a long day on set, and the silence felt heavy, almost like it was waiting for something. His phone vibrated once, then stopped. A short message, only a few words. Please come to the studio tomorrow morning. Alexandra's lawyer will be there. There was no other detail, no explanation, just that. Keanu stared at the message. Alexandra Grant had always used clear words and gentle honesty. This message felt different. It felt like a closed door. He typed back, "I'll be there," then put the phone away and let the room return to the soft hum of night. Morning came with pale light and a calm sky. Keanu walked through the familiar hallway of Alexandra's art studio. Every wall had quiet color. Every table had small tools and brushes resting like sleeping birds. The lawyer stood near the large window, a calm woman with kind eyes and a firm voice. She greeted him softly and held a sealed envelope with Alexandra's handwriting on the front. "She asked me to read this aloud," the lawyer said. "She wanted your first hearing of it to be a shared moment, not a private guess." Keanu nodded. He did not ask questions. He did not rush. He only watched the light move across the paper. The lawyer opened the envelope and unfolded the letter. Her voice was steady, but the room felt like it took a breath. "Dear Keanu," the letter began, "if you are hearing this, it means I have decided to do something brave and a little strange. I will be away for a while, not for work and not because of fear, but because I need to complete a promise I made to my younger self." Keanu felt a small tide move inside his chest. The letter went on. "Years ago, before the shows and the crowd, I wrote a series of letters to someone I did not know yet. I wrote to a person who would stand beside me when the world became bright and when it became dark. I wrote to you before I knew your name. I kept those letters, and today, one more letter has found me. It is from a young woman I met at a small community workshop last year. She has been painting to find her breath again after a hard season. She asked for help. I told her I would not fail her. I need to keep that promise." The lawyer paused. Keanu did not speak. His eyes stayed on the window, but his heart leaned forward. "I will be traveling with her and a small group of students," the letter said. "We will visit for small towns and build a traveling studio. There will be long roads, slow days, and quiet nights. I will not be reachable in the usual ways. I know this may worry you. Please do not be afraid. I am safe. I am choosing this on purpose." The lawyer turned a page. "And now the part that may shock you." The letter continued. "I have left the studio, my gallery schedules, and a donation fund in your hands while I am gone. It is meant for young artists who cannot pay for supplies. I trust you with it because you understand gentle work. The fund has your name on it, but not your face. The world does not need to see you. The students only need to feel supported." Keanu closed his eyes for a moment. The air felt different, bigger. The letter ended with 6 words that struck him like soft thunder. "Please help them breathe. While I'm gone." The gallery with no applause. Keanu returned to the studio later that day. The lawyer had left the legal documents on the table with neat notes and small sticky markers, where signatures lived. Everything was simple. Alexandra's handwriting appeared in tiny places, gentle reminders like, "This is for home," and "This is for light." He read every page. He took his time. He made tea and let the steam rise up like a small fog while he thought. The fund had a name that made him smile. The Quiet Light Project. There were no posters, no big events, only a plan to give tools to young artists and create small workshops where no one had to perform strength. The first request letter sat inside a folder. It came from a school in a neighborhood where art class had been cut. A teacher wrote, "My students draw with dull pencils. They stay after school because it makes them feel calm. If we had paint and paper, I think something in them would open." Keanu felt something open in him too. He signed. He wrote a short note back to the teacher. "You will have what you need. Please keep the doors open for them." He spent the next week learning the shape of the work. He met with a small team Alexandra had trained. They were not loud people. They were careful, but hopeful. One of them, a soft-spoken organizer, asked, "Do you want your name on the packages?" Keanu shook his head. No. Let it arrive quietly. Let the work be the story. Still, there was worry inside him. Alexandra was gone somewhere on the road with students he did not know. He trusted her courage. He respected her choice. And yet, at night, he looked at the door and waited for a knock that did not come. On the fourth evening, the phone rang. It was the lawyer again. "There's a second letter," she said. "She asked me to read it only if you began the work. You have begun." He returned to the studio. The sunset stained the windows with orange and gentle red. The lawyer read, "Dear Keanu," Alexandra wrote, "the first town is small and quiet. A girl named Marta painted a river today. She said she used to feel like a closed door. After painting, she said she felt like a window. I wish you had seen her smile. I think you would have kept it in your pocket like a stone. I am writing at a table where the night is soft. I knew you would help. Thank you." Keanu breathed out for the first time all week. The letter ended with a line that felt like a hand on his shoulder. "If this work grows heavy, remember you are not lifting it alone." The next morning, he visited the school that had written first. He walked the hallway with the teacher. Children were quiet at first, then brave. They showed their drawings. They talked about color like it was a language only they knew. Keanu's eyes grew warm. The teacher whispered, "You do not know what this has done for them." He did not need to know every detail. It was enough to see how the room felt, lighter, kinder, like a window had opened and fresh air had found a way in. But there was something else in the teacher's voice. A pause, a worry, a question wrapped in silence. "There's one student," she said, "who draws storms. I think he needs more than paper." Asterisk, the boy who drew Stormch's name was Isaiah. He sat at the back of the classroom, near a shelf of faded books. His drawing was bold but uncertain. Thick lines, heavy shadows, a boat alone in high waves. The teacher whispered, "He rarely talks, but he doesn't miss a day." Keanu nodded. He asked if it was all right to sit near the boy. The teacher smiled and stepped away. Keanu did not ask questions right away. He sat on the floor, near the desk, and pulled a chair closer. He looked at the drawing like it was a map. After a minute, he said softly, "The waves look strong. The boat looks brave." Isaiah glanced up, surprised, then looked away again. His hand slowed on the page. "I like how you gave the sky room to breathe," Keanu added. "Even when it is dark." The boy's eyes moved back to the drawing. "I don't know how to make the boat safe," he whispered. Keanu nodded. "Maybe the boat does not have to be safe yet. Maybe it only has to be honest." Isaiah's lips pressed together, then relaxed. He drew a thin line of light on the horizon. Not bright, but present. "Could I try something?" Keanu asked. Isaiah nodded. Keanu took a small piece of chalk and shaded a quiet path through the water. "This is a current," he said. "It is soft, but it leads somewhere. Sometimes the safest thing in a storm is a path we cannot see, only feel." The boy watched closely. His shoulders eased. A question rose in his eyes. "Does the boat find a harbor?" "Maybe not today," Keanu said. "But maybe the boat learns it is not failing if it keeps moving." That afternoon, Keanu sat with the class for hours. He helped wash brushes. He handed out paper. He told small stories about how tools matter less than the hand holding them. Children laughed. A few cried quietly and kept painting. Isaiah made 3 drawings. In the last one, the boat had a small light at its front. Not big, not magic, just enough dot. As the sky turned to evening, the teacher returned with a soft smile. "He has never stayed this late," she whispered. Keanu walked to the doorway and watched the boy finish his final line. He did not try to fix anything. He did not try to save anyone. He only tried to make the room safe enough for honesty. Later, on the drive home, the lawyer called with a third letter. She read as lights passed like soft comets on the highway. "Dear Keanu," Alexandra wrote, "Today a boy named Felix told me he thought art was a door only rich people could open. We painted the door on the floor and walked through it together. He laughed. I think we both needed to. If you meet a child who draws storms, remind him the sky also holds dawn." Keanu smiled into the phone. "She met him," he whispered, though he knew they were in different towns. What mattered was the thread. It was clear now. The work was not only about paint. It was about safe rooms, It was about giving breath to people who had been holding it too long. That night, as he watered the studio plants and stacked new canvases along the wall, a small envelope slid under the door. No sender, only a stamp with a sun. Inside, on a plain card, were 6 words: "She is safe. Please keep going." The Museum of Unfinished Things' next request came from a community center that had a long hallway filled with broken frames. They called it the Museum of Unfinished Things. Inside were sketches someone had started and abandoned, songs with half the notes, poems with missing lines. The director said, "We keep them to remind people that stopping is not failure. It is a pause. It can be continued later." Keanu stood in that hallway and felt his chest soften. There was a tender truth there. He decided to start a weekend program. Not a show, not a performance, a quiet space where people could bring an unfinished thing and sit with it. No judgment, no clock, only care. He put a small sign at the door. "You are allowed to begin again." The first session was slow, for people came. A man with a cracked guitar, a woman with a half-sewn quilt, a teenager with a comic strip stuck between 2 frames, and Isaiah with his boat. Keanu welcomed them like he was opening a window. "We are not here to finish," he said softly. "We are here to be kind to the part of us that still wants to try." Isaiah sat on the floor and traced the boat. He added a second small light, a little brighter than the first. The man with the guitar played 3 quiet chords and smiled like he had found a pulse. The woman threaded her needle and told a story about her grandmother's hands. The teenager laughed at his own drawing and then, for the first time in months, kept going. In the middle of the session, a courier arrived with a package from the lawyer. Inside was another letter from Alexandra and a small folded map. The lawyer's message was short. "She asked me to send this if you opened a space for unfinished work." Keanu opened the letter first. "Dear Keanu," Alexandra wrote, "for years I was afraid to show people the paintings I couldn't complete. I thought it made me weak. But I have learned that our unfinished things are not proof of failure. They are proof of living. Please make a place for them. Make a place for people who are not done yet." He unfolded the map. 4 towns were circled. Beside each circle was a word: begin, pause, soften, continue. A line connected them like a gentle path in pencil. As the session ended, a woman walked in late, carrying a cardboard box. Her hands shook. She said, "My daughter used to draw every day, but she stopped after we moved. She is shy. Can we stay?" Keanu nodded and pointed to a quiet corner. The girl opened the box. Inside were pages of bright colors and tiny notes. She smoothed one page with care, then looked up with wide, careful eyes. "Do I have to show anyone?" she asked. "No," Keanu said. "You only have to show yourself you're still here." She smiled, small, real. When the room finally emptied, Keanu stood in the doorway of the Museum of Unfinished Things. The hallway felt different somehow. Not finished, not perfect, but softer. Like every frame was breathing again. The phone buzzed. A short message from the lawyer. One more letter, urgent but gentle. He sat on the floor where the light was kind and listened. "Dear Keanu," Alexandra wrote, "the 3rd town is windy and full of kind strangers. We built easels in a library and painted near the tall windows. A child asked me where courage lives. I told them it lives where breath returns. I think you already know that place." The message paused, and then the final line arrived like a soft wave hitting shore. "I will come home when the path says continue. If I am delayed, please trust the map. It leads to you." Asterisk the courtroom with an open door. A week later, an unexpected notice arrived. The community center had a small legal issue. A grant from years ago had strings attached. The old paperwork said the art room could not be used for public gatherings without certain approvals. Someone had complained. The program was at risk. The director sighed. "We cannot afford a lawyer." The room felt heavy with that familiar fear. Good things can disappear. Keanu called the lawyer who had been reading Alexandra's letters. She listened with care, then said, "I will meet you there tomorrow morning." He thanked her. He stayed late that night and wrote small notes for the students on sticky paper. He put them on the inside of the art room door. "You are allowed to breathe. You are not late. You can bring your storms. The next day, they sat in a small courtroom that smelled like paper and coffee. The judge was firm but fair. The complaint was read. The old clause was clear. The room felt tight around the edges. Then the lawyer stood. Her voice had calm strength. "Your Honor," she began, "the program in question is not a commercial gathering. It is a quiet community practice that supports mental health, education, and public good. The original grant's intent was to serve the community. That intent is being honored. We have letters from teachers, students, and caregivers to show it." She opened a folder. Inside were notes from Isaiah, the teacher, the woman with the quilt, and the girl with the cardboard box. Each letter spoke in simple words about how the room had helped them breathe. The judge read carefully. He did not rush. He turned a page and paused. "Who wrote this?" he asked, holding a small card with 6 words. "I found a window in me." Keanu recognized Isaiah's careful handwriting. "A student, Your Honor," the lawyer said. The judge looked up. Something in his face softened. "The law should protect rooms like this," he said quietly. "Not close them." He signed the order. The complaint was dismissed. The program could continue. The director pressed a hand to her chest and cried a little. The lawyer smiled. Keanu breathed out the breath he did not know he was holding outside the courtroom. The lawyer turned to Keanu. "There's a final letter," she said. "She wanted me to read it only after a hard day that ends well." They stood under a tree where the shade held them like a kind roof. The lawyer unfolded the paper. "Dear Keanu," Alexandra wrote, "if you are hearing this, it means kindness did not lose today. I am proud of you. I am sending you a key that opens a small room on the south side of the studio. Inside are canvases I could not finish. They are not for display. They are for teaching. Please let people begin again on them. There was one more line, and there is a second key. It opens a drawer with a letter for you alone. Read it where the room is quiet." The lawyer handed him 2 small keys on a thin ring. They made almost no sound, and somehow, that felt right. Keanu held them in his palm and looked toward the studio, toward the museum of unfinished things, toward the school, toward every small room that now had the path on the map had said continued. So he did. The drawer where Dawn Livest's studio was quiet when he arrived. The south room smelled like linseed oil and old wood. Thus formed a soft universe in the late light, turning in slow circles. Along the wall stood the canvases Alexandra had mentioned. Some were only a wash of color. Others had figures that paused mid-breath. They did not feel abandoned. They felt patient. Keanu unlocked the drawer. Inside was a simple envelope. No seal, no hurry. He opened it and began to read. "Dear Keanu," it said, "this is the letter I could not write while looking at you. So I am writing it to the quiet. I was afraid the words might make too much noise. Here they can be soft." He sat on the floor, his back against the cabinet. The room listened. "You once told me that kindness does not need an audience. I have tried to live that way. But there is something else I learned from watching you. Resilience does not need armor. It needs breath. I used to think I had to be strong like stone. Now I know I can be strong like water. I can move. I can return." He felt his ribs loosen, like the letter was a hand untangling a knot. "I left not to escape, but to complete. I will return, not to explain, but to continue. Until then, I wanted you to have this truth. I wrote those early letters to a stranger because I believed someone gentle would stand beside me one day. I was right. The gentle person was you." Keanu closed his eyes. He let the words sit where they landed. Nowhere sharp, everywhere true. "One more thing," the letter continued. "The shocked look I imagined on your face when the lawyer read my first letter was the same look I had when I realized this. You do not save people. You make rooms where they can save themselves. That is a rarer gift than anything the world calls heroic." He laughed softly, and the sound came out like a breath after a long swim. "Please keep the rooms open." Alexandra wrote, "Please keep the map on the wall. Please keep the boat moving, even when the waves rise. And when I return, let us go to the museum of unfinished things together. I have something to finish, not a painting, a promise." He folded the letter and placed it back in the drawer. Then he carried 2 canvases to the center of the room. He set out brushes. He opened the door. Within an hour, Isaiah arrived. Then the girl with the box. Then the man with the guitar, who said he would play while people painted. One by one, the room filled with quiet work and soft courage. Keanu stood in the doorway and watched. He did not direct the scene. He did not claim the moment. He held the door and let the air move. Later, as the sky shifted from gold to blue, a new drawing appeared on the wall. A boat in calmer water, a small harbor nearby, and above it, in careful pencil, a line, "Dawn waits for the boat that keeps going." He smiled. He turned off the main light and left the small lamps glowing like patient stars. He locked the studio and stepped into the evening, the map safe in his pocket, the keys warm in his hand. Somewhere on the road, Alexandra was helping windows open in other hearts. Here, in this city, the rooms were breathing. The work would go on, gently, steadily, together.